on brain freeze. Mine is I need to get my third chakra opened up with Het-Heru on the Alpough show. The human spirit experiment starts now. Hey, welcome to Alpough, the human spirit experiment. Today, on Wednesday, our Wednesdays are always bright because we are always privileged to have Het-Heru come in. Yoga specialist, intuitive, and maker of some of the most incredible oils, essential oils ever created. I do believe that heaven smells like her essential oils. So you might be smelling her way before you even know it. No matter what, it's going to happen. So, you might as well enjoy this great privilege that we have having with her today. Today, we're going to be talking about chakras. And we're going to be this is our sixth installment. I can't believe it's already in our sixth installment, where we're going to be talking about the third eye. That's between the brow. And in case you don't know, your pineal gland is part of that connection. We're going to be talking about that. And just to let you know that you got to get your mind straight. All right, if you're thinking, you got stinking thinking, you're not going to be able to understand what this new world design that we're in. And even though we may have seen things similar, it is totally different now. And so that's why we have to be more prepared than ever. And this is why in her over 50 years of doing this work, is really, we're very privileged to have her experience come with us. So we're very excited. So ladies and gentlemen, you're in for a treat. On today's Alpough show, we have the great guest Het-Heru, who knows all about chakras, yoga, and essential oils. Give her a big hand. And here she is, the lovely Het-Heru in purple today. How you doing?
I'm well, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing great.
That's good to know.
Yeah, here we are midweek. We talked about the throat chakra last week, which was really good. It's one of my favorite. But I think that this one is even more important because of our mind. And so I'm just going to get into it. I want to let you just take it from here, give us the definition of the chakras, and we'll go from there. Thank you so much. And the floor is yours.
Thank you, Michael. One of the parts that I most enjoy with these gatherings on Wednesday are the bits that you do at the very beginning of all of this. Those are so cleverly done. I always, yes, what were you saying? Well, they're fun to watch. So very clever. So yeah, I always, in all this work that I've done for all these years, have asked my guides, what do you want me to say? What can benefit people the most? There are several of us who understand our roles here. Michael, you're one in this particularly crazy time, difficult times, confusing times, and I guess we could also add frightening times. However, it's important for you to know, and I say this in every week, who you really are. I was listening to someone speaking recently, and this person felt that the spirit and the soul were the same thing. I do not feel that way. The word spirit comes from a Latin word, spiritus, which means to breathe life into. The soul is the essence of you. It's your purpose. It's your reason why you came in, to have certain experiences and to give certain experiences. Your soul continues life, continues experience, existence, even after we no longer have need of this physical body. Even when we're sleeping at night, the physical body is only part of us that sleeps. The soul continues to live and to participate in other dimensions. I remember hearing experience, or explaining the experience that we have, where we feel that we're falling, we're sleeping and we feel that we're falling. And it was explained to me that it's the soul that's traveling, and that on its way, body is sleeping, only part of us is sleeping, body is sleeping, and on its path to return back to the physical body, it gets bumped by another soul that's traveling as well. That's the experience that we hear about soul traveling. And then in the process of it returning, it gets bumped, and that's that feeling of falling. When we make our transition, yes, our last expression is the breath. Some refer to it as the death rattle. But anyway, but the soul continues life. Now, I have had the experience, well, I've been a professional, I don't particularly like using the word psychic. There's nothing wrong with the word, but a channeler. I say that all the time. When I read for folks, I connect with others' souls and with their spiritual guides. And the spiritual guides and my spiritual guides connect and give information that is felt, not we, that is felt, that soul must have at this particular time in their lives. I'm not a reader. I'm not someone that people comes to and they want to know, if my soulmate is going to come into my life. There's nothing wrong with that information, but my information is more so about who and whose you are, where you are. Are you on the right path? Why, if you're confused at this time, what you can do to get back on the path. When I was a child, I'm clairaudient. Never made my Virgo mom very comfortable with that. We never talked about it, but she knew that I had this gift. One has passed on, 2 older brothers that lived out of state. My sisters and I lived in Indiana. My brothers lived in Pennsylvania. And I can remember as a child, maybe 8, 10 years old, whatever, going to my mother. One of my brothers' name was Timmy. And I'd say to my mother, guess what, Mommy, Timmy's coming. And she wouldn't say anything. She would just, within a half hour or so, doorbell would ring and there's Timmy at the door. I was having this feeling that my mother had her hands behind, like, crossing her fingers, like, oh my God, my child, what I'm going to do with this one. As I said, I'm clairaudient, which means that I can read thoughts. I had to learn not to meddle, because most of us, what we allow, unless we trained ourselves not to do it, but it's just a bunch of my Jewish friends would say, mishigas, just a bunch of crap that we allow to formulate. Oftentimes it's rooted in fear. And so for me, what I used to do, I no longer do. Let's say I'm in a restaurant and I've projected my energy, my thought connection into another person, and I'm not feeling good as a result of it. They're depressed perhaps, or they're fearful or angry or whatever. And I had to learn not to do that. So now what I do, what made it easier for me, is for people to set readings. That way they're giving me permission to do this. And I remember a story back when I lived in LA. I've always loved music and always loved dance. And my first husband, Bill Harriman, was a big time jazz advocate. He loved jazz. And he had this young wife that he was determined to teach an appreciation for jazz. And so we would go different places. And in those times, we had some incredible jazz clubs there in LA. And I was able to hear all these wonderful jazz musicians. There was a particular place I used to go to. It was a restaurant that played music, and I was there with friends. And in those years, I would have wine, and then before I started reading professionally, the waitress would come over and I would start reading for this person because I would pick up things and I would tell them, oh, such and such and such and such a thing is happening. Didn't even think about it. It was just, the wine loosened me enough to feel comfortable to do this. So I would go back maybe the next week or so, and the same person would come over and says, "Oh my God, you were so right on target." And apparently the reading that I had given this person was coming true. Now, most psychics will tell you time is not really something that we necessarily are that good at because we're talking about a different dimensional space that we're operating from. But we can more or less see. As I said, I'm clairaudient, so I hear my spiritual guides, the ancestors, will tell me what to say to someone. And if it's really important for them to know a specific time, they will say a number. They won't, maybe they'll say 3. That 3 isn't necessarily in 3 minutes or 3 hours or 3 days, etc. But somehow or within a period of time that includes 3, that begins with 3, that experience will come through. Now, you've heard me say we're a multidimensional being. We're more than just a physical being. We're incredibly powerful and advanced. And especially during this time, I hear people say to me all the time, "Oh my God, these young people, they're not the way we were when we were kids. They're not supposed to be because they are part of this Aquarian age." Each week, I share that when I began my yoga training, it was in 1969. My yoga teacher, the First Lady of Yoga, Indra Devi, was more of a Piscean age teacher. The Piscean time, we sought our teachers. We sought out our gurus. That's one who brings you from darkness to light. And we followed them. Jesus was known as the fisher of men. People sought out Jesus and followed Jesus. And the Buddha, folks would go and sit while the Buddha shared the enlightenment that he had. But as an Aquarian age, it's now time for us to express our own sense of divinity, that we are the infinite made definite. It is the fact that the soul has evolved to a point where it can express in an enlightened form. The work that I do is not to open chakras. Your chakras are open. Okay, they are open. You would not be sitting here listening to me, listening to Michael, if your chakras were not already open. But it is important that they are balanced. And each week I've gone from one chakra to another, to another, to another. The first chakra being the base chakra, where the essence of our spiritual energy lies, the Kundalini energy. In the older days, early days, thousands of years ago, the yogis, the mothers and fathers of yoga of India, sought out their guru, their teachers, and they would begin some very severe practices that were guarded and guided by this guru. They ate a certain way. They just literally lived a certain way. In our today's world, that's not who we are. That's not what it's about. We're not going to go somewhere to the Himalayas and live in caves or whatever the schools that these folks were living in. They would do practices like swallowing gauze to clean out the intestine and then pull it out, or the string neti. They were called netis, the string netis, where they would bring a string into the nostril and pull it out the other way to clean out the sinuses. We don't have to do that in today's world. There are other ways, much easier. Water netis, the little pot that you've seen people use now, where they pour the water in the nostril and it comes out and you spit it out the same way. So again, we're thousands of years ago when this science, and even before then, when the ancient people of what was known as Kemet and was later changed the name to Egypt. And as I remind you, the word Kemet means land of the dark or burnt people. The original people of Egypt looked more like me. They were darker in color, and they had more of the African, because Egypt is in Africa, more of the African features. And then we get movies like the one with Elizabeth Taylor, and people think that that's Cleopatra. There have been several Cleopatras, and some of them have been very dark. And then as folks started migrating into Egypt, they became lighter as well. Anyway, so it's important. The yogis knew the importance of purifying the early yogis, uh, purifying the body. So they had these very serious, austere practices. In the process, it awakened the spiritual energy. The teaching was that it began to climb up the spine, and that eventually, it went to the crown. That this is the crown chakra, which we'll be talking about next week. And what I want to do next week is share with you, because one of the best ways to balance these chakras, the third eye, which is popular saying, third eye. The best way to work with that is through meditation. Now I know everyone's, well, I've tried meditation, but I can't, just can't still my mind. I can't stop my thoughts. Well, I want to remind you, the mind is mental. It is a mental being, a mental process. And as I've given the example, attempting to empty the mind, stop the thoughts, is the same as trying to take the wet out of water. The mind is mental. It moves. What you're learning to do with meditation is learning how to focus the mind. And in the process of stilling that, then your divine awareness becomes greater. The truth of who and whose you really are. Now, as I started off, yes, you want to say something?
I wanted to. I didn't mean to interrupt.
Okay,
Excuse me. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but there were
no
so many
problem.
things that you talked about here, and for sake of our audience coming in, now I
Okay.
want to just give a review here on things that kind of we were talking about. Okay, so let's go back to when you first started, and this was something. This is very interesting, Het-Heru, because last night
Mhm.
I talked about the difference between the spirit and the soul.
Oh,
So
I
yeah,
think that's the second time this has happened.
yes. So it's just kind of interesting here is, and I went through like this definition of spirit, but then it was like there are two. And then I'm so glad you did because I did the same thing here. Okay.
Mhm.
And that the soul is, and most people think of the soul and the spirit as one.
Mhm.
And it's easy to maybe confuse it that way, but again, what you know there's no way to get around it. We have them both, and it's interesting. I'm so glad how you broke this down. Okay. Now, when you were talking about changing people, all right, so this is the same thing that as what I had to learn. Okay, because people that you love, you want to give them everything. You
Mhm.
want them to be where you're at. Okay.
Exactly.
And so in each one of our growths, and for everyone else, you see, we can't change you.
No.
Okay. We're going to give you information here. But again, this is about you, ladies and gentlemen, having these tools and awareness that you already have. So basically, we're just telling you what you already have.
Right.
Okay, so now what the question I wanted to ask you is, and one more comment here
Mhm.
is when you're talking about the Aquarian age. All right, so here we are coming out of Pisces. All
Yeah.
right, and I want to add that it was before this. Like people would have to go. I'm going to Machu Picchu. I'm
Right.
going to the top of the highest mountain. I'm going to the lowest. You can do it now. You don't have to be somewhere.
Right.
You
That's right.
right. You see, so with the young people right now, and I really believe that this is who we're here for, is you young people, okay?
Mhm.
Because you have so much information that you were able to pick up because you were brought up in the internet. Now, with Haru and I, it was books and
Mhm.
experience.
Yeah.
And so there's a fine line here, ladies and gentlemen, between having head knowledge and having the experience to go with it.
Yeah.
And so this is part of us like going, experience life,
Mhm.
experience life. And so um, the clairvoyant differences, um, how would, okay, so like you knew this, and see, I did too. When you have it, you don't even know you have it, so to speak.
You know you have it, but it's not considered an it. It's just a part of your being. It's just a part of who you are. It's the way you, how you operate. And then you become familiar with words like psychic or intuitive. But my family, um, I have an aunt who's still living. She's in her 90s now, and my middle sister had a nosebleed. We're living in Pennsylvania, and my sister gets this nosebleed, and they're doing everything to attempt to stop the bleeding, the ice, everything that everyone could think of. And remember my aunt coming. She says, "Well, I know one thing." She says, "Come on, let's go to the bathroom." She runs water from the basin. She opens the Bible and she reads a passage. Now, what it was, I couldn't even tell you what it was because we're talking about many, many, many years ago. Anyway, she reads this passage, and like that, the bleeding stopped. Because we are a multi-dimensional being, we live in many dimensions, and therefore we limit ourselves by thinking of ourselves only as a physical being. We're not that. That is why we do have the ability to pick up others' thoughts or to sense. I have friends that are empaths, bless their heart. They haven't studied the same things. I attempt to help them understand why they need to learn to protect themselves when they come into certain energy fields, because they're picking up the other person's illness or dis-ease, which means lack of ease, or confusion or conflict or whatever it is. When I had that yoga studio, I would get all sorts of folks in there, some that were there in harmony, some in love, some in joy, and then there were those that didn't feel that way. There were folks that practiced certain teachings that wanted to attack me psychically, for want of another term. And I remember I would just kind of look at them and laugh, because I know what protects me. My guides have let it be known from the very beginning. Listen, we're going to take care of you. You just do the work that we need you to do. I knew that with Sai Baba, as a Sai Baba devotee, those many years. I knew that I could channel the music. I was sharing that with you, I think, last week, of Sai Baba. I have done that before. I've had the experience of, again, something I shared with you, of standing on my head and thinking that I had fallen asleep for not a very long time, but only to wake up and realize I had gone out while standing on my head. And that was, it was explained to me years later that I had experienced the eighth step of Hatha Yoga, which is Samadhi, where the human part of me and the divine part of me have become one. So these things are capable for all of us if we're willing to embrace certain practices, certain disciplines, certain disciplines. I've shared with you. Okay, I truly believe I could not have channeled Het-Heru's chamber. The oils are called Nefatum. Okay, these are sacred oils, and my guides prepared me to be the channel for these to come through. Now, Michael, bless his heart, he like many are very appreciative and very dedicated and devoted, because they see the effect that the oils have. This is not me trying to sell you lavender oil or this or that. This is, and Michael as well, and anyone else who's a part of this is something that we're doing that has come from another time to assist, to help you with these difficult times that we're going through and will continue to go through as the planet's in the process of becoming sacred.
we are sacred. Okay. One of the things I wanted to say also here, where did I leave that off? Because I had it. Um, we are supernatural beings. Okay, I made a
Okay.
banner of it, and
Okay.
so for now, for those who are coming in, we are talking about the third eye, third eye
Mhm.
chakra, how to
The
open it up.
sixth. Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, the sixth.
Sixth. Mm-hmm.
Yes, we're on the sixth, um, and that we're all supernatural beings, and that may sound like a Marvel character, but this is who we are,
Yeah,
and yeah, and so where am I? Here we go. Supernatural beings. There it is.
I like
You,
that.
you know, this is part of believing. Okay, so you have to start believing, and know that this is the wisdom for life. The things that are being shown here is about that. So I want you to continue on here with um, how the third eye, how the I'm sorry, the sixth chakra. I keep getting confused between
It's
it's
the
the
same
sixth
thing.
chakra, right? With the third, they call it the third eye, the
Yeah,
one.
yeah, back in the 70s, there was a wonderful book. I don't recall you may have read it. Everybody, it's like Yogananda's book. Everybody that got into yoga read Yogananda, Paramahansa Yogananda's book, Autobiography of a Yogi.
Was it
And
different
then,
books? A set of books? Was it like
no,
brown
it was just
cover?
one big book
Okay.
that was written by Yogananda. And it was something that people who read it got on the spiritual path, especially one that was guided by Eastern teachings. Very popular book. Well, it's the same way with the book that came out called The Third Eye. And the name of the author escapes me. Rinpoche, something like that. Rinpo, something chain. But everybody that was interested in Eastern teachings read this book. And it started off, this was a young boy whose parents turned him over to like monks. And the monks got him very involved in their practices. And I mean, it was so well written that we believed it. We believed that this actually, and then I think that the show that came out, Kung Fu, it was probably based in this book as well, influenced by this book. But at one point, I mean, like I said, his discipline was very serious. And the kind of like one of the last disciplines before he could go out into the world was they nailed something into his third eye. Well, folks, no, it's, it was so well written, and we were so serious about our path that it would have been easy to believe that that was something that at some point we would have to do. But no, it's not true. What we do is, again, meditation. Next week, I will give you some information about meditation, and at the end, I'll guide you through a meditation. Um, but it's the ability to see, and you can use this as the mantra, see beyond what appears to be. Again, all the stuff that's going on in the world right now. I'm going to just say something real quickly about that because they're talking to me now.
Go
There's
for
an
it. Go for it.
okay. Wherever thought goes, energy follows. In other words, whatever you focus your attention to, you manifest in your experience. You're giving energy to it. Now, we have the option. We can focus on what's going on in Russia and the Ukraine and whatever, and we can focus on that and put our energy into being fearful about that, being angry about that, and all these other emotions. Wherever thought goes, and especially if you add emotion to it, you empower it. But collectively, if we could take some time, all of us, if you want to help the Ukrainian people, you want to help even the Russian people, then take some time every day and get quiet and affirm. Think of yourself as you're one part of the collective that sees the world in peace and in harmony. That you're not giving your power over to this one person is one human being who appears to, the idea is that this person has all of this power and has the ability to disrupt and destruct, blow up and all these other things. Don't, you're too powerful for that. Don't give your energy to that. Give it instead to knowing again who and whose you are. Affirm what we were talking about, the power of the word. Affirm what you want to take place. I did that during the time when COVID was hitting so strong. And rather than talk all the time about how many people have died and the horrendous things that are going on with that, I chose to take time daily and just align myself with the essence, the soul of my being that does not get affected by disease. The soul of the essence of me, the divine being within, to align myself with that, and I would call forth all the not all the friends, but I'd call forth my friends and my family that the divine love and light is surrounding and protecting and healing. I would do this for the city of Las Vegas, for the state of Nevada, for the United States. And I would just go on and on and on, because I've learned to give my energy to what I want to experience, not what I don't want. And I'm able to do that. And through the years, because I've learned to do that, I've seen the results of it. Instead of, as I've shared with you, waking up each morning talking about my aches and pains. I'm a dancer, okay? I've been on planet Earth 72 years this time around. My knees sometimes go, hello. So rather than talk all day long about how, my knees are not feeling that well, I put, was it CBD, whatever it is, cream on it.
Yeah, CBD.
But I also talk to my knees and tell them, how wonderful they are, and that they're an expression of the infinite. And every day in every way, they're getting better, better, and better, rather than this hurts and that hurts, et cetera, et cetera.
I absolutely agree. I want to emphasize that point.
Okay.
That I've gotten far enough in my age to know you better start communicating with your body. Okay. If you haven't met your toes and your knees and your hips and your thighs and your internal organs, you should go say hello. Okay.
I agree.
All right,
I
because
agree with you.
you are one. You are one. You're your own universe. We're, I want to say it's hard. I want to put it in here to perspective. Okay, we, you know, Het-Heru has guides. I have Holy Spirit's Sophia. Okay, um, everywhere, but every it's saying to us, we're all universal beings.
Yeah.
We're all one. We're okay. There's not, Mother has always said to me, everyone is an individual spirit. She's never said, I want your soul.
Mhm.
Well, if our souls were given to us as gifts, then the expression of who we are is our whole body.
Yeah.
And so I'm saying to you, I'm agreeing with Het-Heru. It's that you have to talk to your body. All right. You talk to yourself. Right? You have the conversation with yourself, your own personal thoughts, and not be, as I'll be talking about later, invasion of your mind. You're either going to take control of your own beinghood here, or somebody else is going to.
That's true. Was it that old saying, if you don't stand up for something, you uh, stand for something, you
You'll
fall for
fall for
somebody else,
anything.
or
Yeah,
something like that.
yeah.
Yeah.
If you don't stand up for something, you'll fall for anything.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
Also, everybody, to help these young folks, um, they're hearing a lot about what's wrong in the world. They're hearing about how long they think the planet's going to be here and what's going to happen. We're going to run out of this. We're going to run out of that. And you know, if you don't think that's not affecting them in some way, they need positive messages of hope and faith and belief. Um, it's important for if nothing else we can give them, let's give them that. I was, as I said, a Sai Baba devotee for a number of years. I truly believe that when it was time for me to continue my path in another direction, I really feel that Sai Baba kicked me out of the fold there. One of the things I'm most grateful for with Sai Baba is I was able to switch my belief in fear of God to learn that God was love. That made a tremendous difference in my life. Um, as I, as my own spiritual evolution took place, and it continues. It's not like bam, it happened and then well, no, every day in every way. Um, but one of the things that automatically happened was that my intuitive stuff got stronger. And I remember at the beginning of all this, because I was a serious student of Hatha Yoga, I would do hours of Hatha Yoga asanas, postures, and being vegetarian, which for me, okay, didn't work for me, even though I was a vegetarian for over 35 years, but I don't have the right blood type for it. So it had a negative effect on me after a while. I was severely anemic. Now, that's not to tell folks that are vegetarians, or I don't say vegan, I say vegan because I think the word came from vegetables, so I say vegan. If that's working for you, fine. Okay, it would not work for me. It did not take my eating meat again, did not take anything away from me spiritually. In fact, it helped me because I didn't have to focus on my maladies, what was, not having energy and not having, the other things and being conflicted because I came from a generation where in order to grow spiritually, the belief was that you couldn't eat meat. So anyway, when that was removed from me and I began to do what was proper for me then, my chakras began to open. I would say because I was still a part of the Piscean age that they were opening, but as as the years continue, as I said, they began to be balanced more. But as a Sai Baba devotee, I would spend time, because I was so focused in my spiritual teaching. Um, I would spend. I didn't have much of a social life. I was, being so true to my Capricorn nature. It was all about how can I gain spiritually? And I think I shared with you when I finally had the epiphany, light bulb moment that which I was seeking, I already am. Life got a little easier, wasn't as difficult for me. But as you evolved, then your chakras will open. And at the beginning, I can remember I would sit with a friend. This because I was introduced to yoga in 1969 in Indianapolis, Indiana. And I would sit with a friend talking, and all of a sudden I would see forms like of mist just passing by, and I could feel them. When I would go to my yoga teacher's school, which was full of interesting energy in there because she was very mystical. In fact, all of my teachers were mystical teachers, including Indra Devi, including Sai Baba. And I could,
Could you explain mystical, what you consider mystical is?
Say it again. You want to tell what it was? Well,
like what a mystical,
yeah, there's, it's non-earthly. Okay, it is not I'm trying to think of the word and it's escaping me. Um, the stuff that happens, what's the word? Where, your daily things that you're dealing with, this was operating from another dimension, another vibratory frequency. And so it allowed me to see beyond what appeared to be. I could feel and to go into someplace like Indra Devi's school there in Baja California, because my intuition was so strong, I could feel the beings that had made their transition. They were still kind of hovering. I could still feel them. I could hear. I could sense things. So, and I had to learn to be comfortable with that because there was a certain amount. As I said, I came out of a family that were, many were intuitively sensitive, but we just never talked about it. It was never something that, well, okay, this is going on. Let me tell you about it. I had an aunt, bless her heart, another aunt, who was very connected to me. And I moved to, this was again in Indianapolis, but I moved to Los Angeles, and my husband, the man that became my husband, and I, when we set our date, I didn't want my family in Indianapolis to know, because Indra Devi wanted to perform our wedding ceremony, but she was out of the country at the time. She was in India, so she wasn't going to be able to come back until February. My very practical husband, Virgo husband, said, "Well, I'm going to get married before the end of the year for income tax purposes." So, but maybe not so romantic, but practical. And so we decided we would go to Unity by the Sea Church. That the minister at that time was Dr. Sue Sicking, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful minister, and the little chapel that they had there. And he and I married, but again, I didn't want my family to know, because when Indra Devi would return in February, we would have our ceremony, and I wanted my family to come out from Indiana. And I knew if they knew that I had already gotten married, they wouldn't make that journey. So we had a couple of friends. I brought with devotees. We go to Dr. Sue's little temple there next to the Unity. She performs a ceremony. We come back to our home. Our friends are with us, and we're all sitting around. I can still remember it so well, because we had the TV on, and Berezhnikov was dancing with the Royal Ballet Company. He had that on TV, so that's my background ballet. Just stayed with me. The phone rings. My aunt calls, and we're talking. She says, "Did you get married?" She missed nothing. That's how in tuned she was. She was probably the most intuitive of all my relatives. But as I began to, and especially teaching yoga, and just my own development, allowed me to be more tuned in. Now, when I read for folks, as I said, the ancestors speak to me. I always say a Kemetic prayer. And in that prayer, I'm asking to remove my personality, so that the ancestors, these folks' ancestors, for whom I'm reading, and my ancestral guides can come together and give and do the most to assist this person.
We have some other people come in. I want to take a quick minute here. We're going to take a quick break before we finish up and talking about your essential oil here. Before, I want to take this time to ask people to subscribe to my channel. Please push the bell on there. You have to push the bell, because I'm not getting any love on YouTube. I'm going to be going on other platforms. Rumble, I'm going on Zion. I'm already on Twitch, on Twitter. I have 2 channels on Facebook and on YouTube. I'm going to be doing a late night show. I'll be doing another one here tonight in a couple hours. And it's called Invasion of Your Mind. So you don't want to miss that. I'm going to go over some of the headlines. And so everyone, we have to make that decision on taking our head out of the sand here. All right. We have to face that we're in reality. But fortunately, we have this time here where we can slow down, because all of us are speeding up, but you could be moving and not moving at the same time. And so we really enjoyed here having the Third Eye Chakra open with Het-Heru tonight. Again, we'll be back on next Wednesday, and we're going to go into a whole 7-week teaching again after that. So we're real excited. We're also going to be bringing in her essential oils, which is all coming. We're real excited about that. And so with the time we're going to be finishing here with our great friend Het-Heru, I just want to let you know you can go to her website, which is HET-HERU. We'll have it there, and I've been putting it up here, .com. You can also get a hold of her, info@het-heru.com. So that's enough for me, but I want to bring her back in here. But so thank you for everybody. Again, I'll be on again about 2 hours after this show. I'm going to be doing between 3, sometimes 4 shows a day. So as we come across here, because I want to get this message out here. So with the time that we have, I really want to go into the history of you making this
Mhm.
fabulous essential oils. We're going to be talking even more about these. I do believe that this is her. I've had a numbers of essential oils, but I really feel deep in my heart I've been using Het-Heru's essential oils for 15 years. So I really think I do know what I'm talking about, and that's why we're so privileged to have her here. So, floor is yours, young.
One of the things I most appreciate about these oils, when folks would tell me that they were having certain issues, as a Hatha Yoga asana teacher, that's the movements, um, it was a situation where they'd have to get a mat on the floor, they'd have to have space, it'd have to take time. But with the oils, just like that, they'll have the effect that they want. They can calm themselves. They can feel more centered, more focused. And I like that. I have a 28-day chakra balancing program. I think that's what we are talking about doing at some point, where I guide you through 28 days, still using the 7 oils, but they're repeated after, I think it's 4 times in order to help get things even more balanced. But they are special, and I'm grateful. And as I think I shared with you last week, when I'm asked if the oils are organic, I say, in all honesty, I'm told from my vendors, whom I trust, that they are. However, the oils are coming from other countries. They're coming from India. They're coming from Kemet, from Egypt, and so I'm not there looking to make sure. Um, so, but what I do know, everyone, without a doubt, they are sacred, because I know what I've had to do in order to be a vehicle and continue to be a vehicle for them to come through. And the fact that I'm working with Michael um, to share this information with you, again, it's been a journey that I've been on, a journey that has enhanced my life tremendously, and hopefully is enhancing yours as well.
Well, we want to keep you here. Here's a comment from Tracy. Het-Heru for your channeling of these wonderful oils and your life insights. Much
Thank you.
love.
Thank you.
Much love. You know, are we are we in an awakening here? What do you think about this reset? It's always talking about the great reset. Now,
Mm.
I have my opinion, but I really want to know what yours is.
Is it a popular saying that they're using now, the Great Reset?
The
Is that
great
because,
the great reset. Now, this isn't just um this is what the elites, the ones who are at the head of economic, the Federal Reserve, the the G7, the United Nations, the Agenda 21 that's been passed. That there's a reset coming between 21 and 30, and that you will own nothing and be happy, and that is the agenda has been put out without a doubt. That
okay.
we're all in a change, and that you know we're going to be not the same. Um,
Well, I think I think in just in the last 4 years we're not the same, to be honest with you. Um, I'm asking my guides as you're asking that, and what they're telling me is kind of sorta, but it is all a part of the Aquarian age. Again, the planet itself is in the process rather of becoming sacred. You as a soul, not as a spirit, but as a soul, has agreed to be a part of that in whatever role that you are playing, whether it is the mother or the father or the uncle or the aunt or whomever to someone. You're a teacher or a musician or an artist of someone, whatever, and whatever, again, I like the idea that there's healing and blessing even in a smile. I do my best to smile, because in doing so, I'm telling folks it's going to be okay. It really is going to be okay. Um, you know, the more positive we can be, the more empowered we can be. And when you're truly spiritually empowered, you're not sitting back figuring out ways to take from another person or put someone down or whatever. You want to stay in that space wherever thought goes, energy goes.
Very well said. And no matter what is, we're on a spiritual journey, everyone. I mean, really, that if you can place it in that, um, the phrase I always say to people, I have peace in chaos. Okay.
That's good.
And as things, even though things look like they're just falling apart, you can still have peace. And if you've noticed, we've never said the word FEAR. Okay. This is, it's a word that either can damage you or completely disable you. All right. And that's the one thing that we want to be. You want to take that 4-letter word, change it to another 4-letter word, love. It covers a multitudes of things. And so next,
I,
good.
I just want to say something I keep slipping my mind to share with you. Each week, I've been putting the sacred oils on sale. So, for example, last week I had Netter on sale, and so if you purchase Tahuti, which is the sacred oil for the third eye, I keep hearing Sanskrit Ajna chakra, then you're able to get it for a lesser price. But the idea is that you apply it, and when you smell it, it takes you someplace else. It connects you with your higher self, and in the process, it's balancing that third chakra. And then each one comes with an affirmation. So we're using the power of the spoken word and the power of the olfactory nerve, the sense of smell, to help connect you with that super powerful being within you.
That was the one thing that I wanted to say. I didn't emphasize that enough. Is that, and the thing about the essential oils was the discovery was through smell.
Yeah, isn't that something?
Okay, we all are thinking about thought, physical action, you know, emotions, right? Thoughts, but that smell. And if you've never experienced it, until you do, you will not know what I'm talking about. And so
Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to uh, being an outlet for your essential oils. I'm really looking forward to it. And the reason why I don't ever do anything unless I 1000% believe, and I've seen it not only in myself, that I've your essential oils, people smell me, okay, and they're affected by it, and it's okay. And if once you decide, um, you'll never be the same. You won't think about perfume anymore. You know. Um, so we're going to talk more about her essential oils. I want to get your final thoughts here. Um, I can't wait to. We're going to be opening up on April 1st, which is in a couple of weeks, and uh, as I come to my 1 year being online here with this particular show, and it's the one that gives me the most. So, final thoughts, Miss Het-Heru?
Everyone, remember, I see beyond what appears to be. All right. See beyond what's going on right now. See it the way you want it to be. Let us collectively assist the planet right now in getting past this. I guess it's a necessary process. There's a reason why this is happening. But see beyond that. Okay. All right. Take care. Have a wonderful week. And I'll see you next week.
Thank you so much. We all want to thank her for being here. The whole thing is, guys and gals, is getting better. I asked Mother, what do you want me to do? To be the best that you can be. I'm not going to be the president of the United States, but I can be the president of my mind, my soul, my spirit, And you're the one. You're the one who's you've got the steering wheel. And, I want to thank the time that we have with her again. We just love having her here. Now, later on tonight, I'm going to be talking about invasion of the mind stealers. We're going to go into what's going on and happening in the news, but to let you realize that we can't put our head in the sand anymore. We're not these robots. Okay, let me add this real quick. Have anybody seen this? Almost looks like one of us, doesn't it? So you're the one. We're not robots. We're not robots. We are spiritual beings, and our soul and our mind and our bodies are supposed to become one. Oh, yes. Yes, great, Tracy. That's become our comments. Amani is literally it's faith. That's one of her essential oils. We actually have her soap, body oil. Okay, it's just wonderful. Growing pains into this new sacred space. The one thing I really believe we are is sacred. Now, it doesn't matter what age you're going into, okay? If you don't consider yourself a sacred being, then you're not going to be prepared, no matter what, on what's to come. That place of yourself that is holy, that you are this temple, this house, just like I'm in the house of Sophia. We all are together, but each one of us walks in our own universe. So I want to thank you all for coming in. I will be back at 9, and I can't wait till next Wednesday and some of the things that we've got going. You want to get on my mailing list here, please subscribe, because we're going to be doing this 28-day affirmations. And I think that it's going to be a cool thing. So I will see you all. Hit me back up. I already have it out about an hour, couple of hours here. I'll be back online. We're going to be talking about the daily news of the day and how to keep your spirit strong. So thank you for coming in. Thanks again, Het-Heru, and we will see you next time.